Misinformation. How are we even discussing this in America? God forbid, but if we lose this country, it won't be my fault. The Bible speaks about the Pied Piper who played the flute, but they wouldn't dance. He played the mourning music, but they wouldn't mourn. In other words, nothing struck a chord. Nothing could awaken them. Well, it's been said some people you can't tell them. They have to be shown. Well, regardless of that statement, I'm going to tell it until the whole world hears. I'm amazed that over 90% of what medications you put into your body, what you eat, drink, think, hear, do, and see in the news, music, entertainment, and Hollywood is controlled by 6 unethical global world order-driven media giants: Comcast, Fox, Disney, AT&T, Sony, and Paramount Global. This explains exactly why our country is hugely propagandized. Now the social media giants, better known as big tech, within the past decades have joined the insidious mind control of the masses with protection of Section 230 from our corrupt politicians who trample on our First Amendment. Folks, this was a well-planned out strategy that they have been working on for many decades. You see everything so clearly when you begin to connect the dots. However, I have to say, connecting the dots isn't the most important thing. It's acting upon what you now know to help defeat evil. What's the point of knowing if you pretend like nothing is going on in hopes that things will get better by another man's sacrifice, while you continue your happy life with concern for only a 50-yard perimeter outside your home? I'll put it another way. Millions of Americans, and maybe even you, are on the verge of bankruptcy because of a central banking coup since 1933, with President Nixon putting the nail in the coffin in 1971. But you choose to sit in the grandstands and watch it all burn down to the ground in real time. And while we're at it, for good measure, let's blame Trump. This is why I'm screaming bloody murder, because I realize if America goes down, we all go down. All means every race, economic status, nationality, gender, sexual orientation, political affiliation, creed, and which team won the Super Bowl this year. It's total control no matter who you are, which brings me to the purpose of this writing. This is about misinformation. So we won't discuss hate speech because that's a whole other subject that would take some time to unpack as well. Although hate speech is another term used to suppress the truth by virtue signaling and shaming the person spewing facts. Nevertheless, I'll focus my target on disinformation, false information, and as we've heard time and time again, misinformation. I have to walk a fine line to make sure I don't get hit with a strike for spreading quote-unquote misinformation. If you believe in the Constitution of the United States of America, then walk this anti-First Amendment tightrope with me. However, if you enjoy being told what's misinformation and what's not misinformation, then move on. I can't help a person that doesn't think for themselves or refuses to use the critical thinking process. On the other hand, those who are now awakening out of the matrix because of a Biden administration, 3-ring circus killing the economy, and America giving billions to Ukraine as millions of Americans suffer, then follow me on this journey as I unfold my story of what slapped me in the face and said, look at what's happening to our nation. I'm going to start with my career as a retired fireman to let you know I'm just an ordinary Joe just like you, who is fed up with the political cesspool on Capitol Hill. Yes, I don't like politicians, Democrats or Republicans. I don't know how many times I have to say that to let you know that I'm not the enemy. It's the politicians who have sold out we the people to the biggest lobbyists, rather it be domestic or foreign. A little side note. Even if we don't agree on an issue, that's okay. But I didn't sell out our nation. It is the installed Demorats and rhinos of this world. So don't get angry at me. I'm on your side. I'm just a messenger siphoning out all the garbage to make our world a better place and point out the real enemy. I continue. Congress hearings is the biggest dog and pony show. So here we go. Because I refuse to stand by idle and watch our country go down in flames, or should I say intentional sabotage backed by the WEF, better known as the World Economic Forum. You know the leader of this evil and diabolical organization that told the world you will own nothing and be happy. Klaus Schwab, yes, that guy that wants to see the Great Reset in full effect. But you may know the Great Reset as its general term, New World Order, no longer land of the free, but home of communism. There are people who think this assertion is far-fetched. But if we keep allowing identity politics to rule our emotions and our minds as we fight amongst ourselves, what do we think the end result will be? Or is it even a thought? The minority elites count on the chaos they create among the citizens and careless mentality of everyday citizens to overthrow our nation. I digress. Have you ever thought about why big tech and the media use the word misinformation? And why are there so many fact checkers? I know I have. But if you never took notice because the media outlets that you love and trust are doing the fact checking, then I can understand why one would be bamboozled. Howbeit, if you have listened this far, something has caused you to think outside the box and hear a different point of view or another perspective, which is what big tech is afraid of, hearing a different perspective. I don't know about you, but whenever the word misinformation is used in the media outlets, fact-checking any information, it makes me very inquisitive to find out why possibly credible information is demonized, censored, and deemed as misinformation. Here is an example of my point. An article written in the Epoch Times states that YouTube is now taking the WHO, World Health Organization, as the gold standard for COVID or the next pandemic, as long as the CDC, FDA, controlled doctors, media outlets is in line with the WHO. So as a result, they also will be deemed as credible information. Anything or anyone outside the parameters of the WHO is misinformation. Does this frighten you? A foreign entity controlling what goes on in America? Or are you comfortable with the idea because the CCP has controlled most of America for such a long time? Does this alarm you or send up any red flags? Just take a listen to my story of why I trust the government minus 100%. Why I question everything. And what woke me up out of a blue-pilled induced matrix coma, I label the 2020 wake-up call. I retired in October 2019 as a fireman who pursued a culinary career by going to culinary school because of a love for cooking and the restaurant industry. My first job as a line cook was at the Ritz-Carlton Amelia Island in 1999. I know I'm telling my age, but that's besides the point. Throughout my career as a fireman, I worked at many prominent, thriving kitchens and plenty of catering events along the way. Anyone understanding the brutal restaurant business would know that I worked my butt off to take advantage of the American opportunity. Notice I didn't say dream, because today's dream has become a nightmare courtesy of renegades posing as Americans. After retirement, I told my wife I was going to take some much needed rest and take a sabbatical for a few months before getting back into cooking. I went back to cooking at the end of February in 2020 at a sophisticated hotel in my area. At the same time, I was approved to sell my desserts in a flourishing open-air market on the weekends. I was elated because I finally could get a chance to focus on food without full-time employment as a fireman getting in the way. In other words, the sky was the limit. I was free to pursue my dreams and aspirations as a restaurateur, I thought. I was going to work at the hotel for about a year and then open up my first breakfast lunch spot. But the pandemic was say different. About 4 weeks in at the hotel, and without ever selling any of my desserts at the open air market, on March 23rd, 2020, the chef approaches me and says, "Hey Hassan, you heard about the coronavirus?" I said, "Yes, why?" He said, "We're going to shut down the whole hotel, but don't worry. They said it's only going to be for about 2 to 3 weeks, just to flatten the curve." I don't know about you, but that lie will be etched in my mind for all eternity. Now they're conjuring up another pandemic and a lockdown. I want to say, they got me in 2020, and that's shame on them. But it won't be the shame on me in 23. Here's a little side note, as a reminder of how this affected all Americans, and even the world, as everything was shut down except essentials. Wink, wink. Who characterized essentials? What a joke. During the lockdowns, we had conference calls with the hotel executive staff every other week, then every 3 to 4 weeks, until they were non-existent by the end of 2020, as we were told to seek employment elsewhere when the economy has opened back up. Here's what crushed my heart as a man and a father. During one of those conference calls, I heard a grown man crying, asking, "When are we going to get some relief? I can't pay my mortgage. I've just about spent up every bit of my savings and I'm having problems feeding my family." Because he was unable to break through the unemployment website as a result of the influx of people trying to do the same. Now I'm pissed, because in that moment I realized that this crossed political affiliation, social status, nationality, culture, and race. It left me with the question, what is going on? This isn't America. This is more like China or North Korea because of the way the pandemic was handled. Anyone that didn't have their head in the sand saw the hypocrisy that transpired right before our eyes as big tech and the fake news media covered for it by censoring and vilifying anyone questioning the lockdowns, vaccines, and therapeutics for COVID. Anyone who went against Fauci the fraud was told they were spreading misinformation. Why? Now, with the knowledge of gain of function, makes you question the pandemic, or was it a plandemic? I'm going with the latter. This will set me on a trail, or should I say on fire, to search for the truth, because the media is trying to cover up all the holes in their stories by fact-checking, punishing, and labeling anyone not towing the line as spreading misinformation. We live in such a demoralized society today because of a indoctrination and sexualization of our children and the propaganda machine we call the media, spreading half-truths, part of a story, and simply leaving out major details of stories. As a result, one has to wonder if it's not too late to save America. There was a guy in Oregon, yes, Portland, the mecca of indoctrination, sexualization, and brainwashing of the next generation, that I wrote to congratulate their school board for flipping it from insanity to common sense. At the same time, a kangaroo judge overturned a ruling to say not allowing the alphabet mafia and the BLM to hang their signs in school was unconstitutional. Being the radical that I am, okay, move with righteous indignation. Is that better? I said to that gentleman from Oregon, the judge just opened up the floodgates to hang any sign you want, whether you like Trump or not, to really piss them off and cause TDS, Trump deranged syndrome. Hang Trump 24, MAGA, John 3:16, and Jesus is the only way, because this is the great awakening of we the people. With all confidence and optimism gone out of this gentleman's mind, in a pessimistic attitude, he told me, I hope it's not too late. I have to use Malcolm X's famous quote to sum up the psyop we are living through. And I quote, "The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent. Now that's power, because they control the minds of the masses." End quote. Why is this quote so important? Put aside how you have been told and force-fed to feel about President Trump for a second, rather it be good or bad. And if it makes you feel good, you're more than welcome to pick it back up in just a minute. All I ask is for you to use your brain God gave you for just a second and take note. Here's the setup. They call this man everything negative under the sun, 24/7. We called that Operation Mockingbird. Repeat something over and over and over again until it gets into the psyche. As soon as Trump became a forerunner for the Republican Party, they demonized this man by calling him a bigot, racist, homophobe, xenophobe, misogynist, and a dictator. Never mind what Biden is doing, but let's just carry on. Still today, they label him the worst guy who ever lived, to make the world see him as a disgusting scumbag not to be trusted. Think about it. Everyone loved him before he ran for president on the wrong side of the aisle. And when I say wrong side, I mean he wasn't pushing the Marxist New World Order agenda. I continue. The media made you despise this man so much that you would even overlook a questionable election. I must say, their plan was brilliantly wicked, because it worked. However, they thought they had enough people mesmerized under their demonic spell, so they underestimated Trump's connection with the people in 2016. But in 2020, they said, "We will be ready," if you get my drift. Here is the danger of controlling the information and promoting propaganda. President Trump's popularity grew exponentially from 2016 to 2020, with thousands outside each of his rallies, unable to get inside everywhere he went. Now in 2023, with indictment after indictment after indictment after indictment after indictment, Trump's popularity continues to grow. But in 2020, a guy dead in the basement, I repeat, just in case you didn't hear me, just in case you don't want to accept it because the media told you to hate this man. Again, a guy, Biden, dead in the basement, got more votes than President Obama and any other president in history. I'm going to use Biden words. Come on, man. In conclusion, the guy from Oregon's words is burnt in the back of my mind. I hope it's not too late. I can repeat that because I see the lack of concern from so many people and the lackadaisical, nonchalant, lukewarm, and apostate attitude of the church, seeking prosperity rather than morals. People who still have a glimmer of hope in our corrupt government from federal to local levels. People who don't understand that we were chained together thinking we were free. We're in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. And I rest my case. May God bless America, because He is the only one that will be able to get our nation out of the shambles and decades of Marxism planted into our society, domestically and by foreign foes. It's astounding to me how a few mega wealthy have been allowed to control our entire nation through puppetry dictatorship. Once again, the Bible holds true. The love of money is the root of all evil. 1 Timothy 6:10. May God bless America. My name is Hassan, aka Sonny B. I write to fight. 1776. Rewind. You can find us on most social media sites at 1776 Rewind. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit that notification bell to receive future content. Video pop-ups of my past videos are there for your viewing. Also, the link for my book titled 1776 Rewind, The Great Awakening is Revolutionary is down below in the description box. Thank you for your support.